Hey, PTSD buddies. So we're going to do another PTSD Buddy Chat, and I really wanted to do this one because if you were looking at our wall earlier tonight, a lady named Heather put a really gripping and powerful story, or powerful video, sorry, on our wall, and I quickly got in contact with Heather, and she's here right now, and we're going to have a little chat. Hey Heather, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. That was a pretty amazing video you posted earlier.
Thank you.
There you go. Now we can see it better. Um, when I seen your video, the first thing I thought was, wow, like I can't believe how brave you were for doing it. Because I know there are people still today that are in a basement somewhere, sitting down in the darkness, hiding away. And they're probably getting a chance tonight to see your video. And I know you inspired, guaranteed at least one person tonight. Because you inspired me. But no, I'm sure, like me, know what it's like to sit at home in that dark spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you count the hours that you spent hidden away in your, let's call it your safe zone?
Like how long I've like what? Like
How can I think, just hypothetically, can you count the hours how long you spent, hidden from the world?
oh.
It's impossible
Oh
to
wow.
count, right?
Yeah, I'm 40 now.
Yeah.
And
How long have
I'm
you how long have you been dealing with PTSD?
well, trauma started happening at 5
At 5.
and so it's just kind of went on and on and on and on and um
Well,
it's probably
you talked about it in your video. Can you give us some background, just for the people who haven't seen your video? How about give us some background uh, of who Heather is?
like what that caused the PTSD.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't want you to talk about anything that's uncomfortable for you, Heather, but
Oh,
just to give our listeners some background of who you are.
okay. I am 40 now. Um, Currently, I have a 20-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I'm married and live in the States. And at 5, I was molested by my brother, and uh, I kept it secret for a little while because it was, you're 5 and you
You're
don't.
5. I can't even
Yeah,
imagine. You're. I'm,
yeah. He'd come by for like visitation, so he didn't live with us all the time.
yeah.
And then finally, I used some language one day in front of my mother, which like signaled to her, like, "Whoa, how would a 5-year-old know this?"
Right.
So, she took me off to the side, and I told her what happened. And I hadn't seen my brother again since I was an adult.
Do you know how
So
old your brother was?
at the time, he had to have been 11.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't think he's ever gotten help. It was kind of one of them back in the 70s. It got pushed under the rug, and nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
And
I can't even imagine what you were going through at 5 years old.
yeah, and then I lived in a neighborhood where we had a lot of minorities, and so like in school, I had a lot of black friends,
Right.
and um, my mother and stepdad like really frowned on it, and my stepdad would call me I don't even know if I should say the word, but end lover.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. And then I'd get called a slut by him too.
Wow.
I guess, and I'd be young. I wasn't even having sex yet. But so growing up with that all the time, every day, was really exhausting because you're a girl. And when you're growing up, you're already kind of insecure. And am I fat? Am I this? And then you got people in your family calling you a slut and stuff. You start to question everything,
Yeah, well,
you
that's
know.
your family. That's the people you're supposed to trust the most.
Yeah.
And they're calling you these names. I,
Yep.
I, I can't imagine. Heather, Chris just asked, do you mind me asking why your brother wasn't living with you?
At the time in the 70s, if a husband and wife got divorced, the father automatically got custody because a lot of women didn't work.
Oh,
They were
right, yeah.
stay-at-home moms. So,
Yeah.
and at the time I wasn't born yet, it was just him. So she didn't have custody of him, just like on the weekends or every other weekend.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
So, um, so then I couldn't go to proms, I couldn't go to dances. So, I was just an angry person, you know, kind of a loner because I couldn't have friends because I couldn't go out with them anywhere. And when I was 16, I got in a relationship with a boy, and he turned out being abusive. My first ever like abusive relationship.
Your boyfriend?
Yeah, high school boyfriend. Like you don't hear about that so much, you know.
So your family's abusive, and then you find yourself an abusive boyfriend.
Yeah. And I already felt crappy anyway about myself, so I think I probably thought I deserved it. You know, I must have been mouthy, whatever.
Yep.
And then one day I got tired of him for a minute and I broke up with him. And my mom let me go out with my friend, my girlfriend. And we went to a park and we were just out there kicking it with some other kids, enjoying ourselves. And I noticed I missed my curfew. And I was like, oh crap. And two 16-year-olds were like, well, let's just run away because when I get home, they're going to ground me for like 6 months. So
yeah,
we ended up running away and met up at a hotel party in another town. And I met some bad people there, and they were over 18. And one of them was a female. I think at the time she was 21. And this is where the human sex trafficking comes in. She was actually the daughter of the ringleader of a circle of trafficking that I didn't know at the time. And they use girls a lot, or women, because they're not threatening, and a lot of people blindly lead them or go with them because you don't think anything of really a woman, you know.
right.
And she was like, well, you guys can come to this big city with me in another state. I got to pick up a welfare check, and when I get some money, I'll help you guys out, you know. And we were like,
Trying to get you into a vehicle.
yeah. And I'm like, oh, sounds like an adventure. Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
And then we go, and this is a very, very big city. And right away, as we're driving into they called it the hood. It was like I seen a girl covered in blood running down the street with only a shirt on. I seen a lot of weird stuff, and I was scared right away.
I guess so.
Oh. And we parked in the driveway of the house, which was in an alley, and she went in there and talked to the people in the house forever, and we were just sitting outside in the car. And when we come in the house finally, right away they separated me from everybody else.
Right.
And right away I got locked up in a room. The other 3 kids that I was with all were in another room. They were eating and laughing and having fun, and I was locked in a room. And so I knew, of course, something wasn't right. But anytime I asked questions, she would come in the room and hit me with a tire iron.
A tire iron?
Yeah, I'd have to stand up, like face a wall, and then she'd be behind me and whack me. So it wasn't like right in my face. They want to keep the face good because of what they were planning to do. But I don't know why they didn't use the other girl. It was just me from get-go. They just right away,
My God.
you know, isolated me. So, and they forced me, the length of my time I was there, they forced me to prostitute a lot. A lot. And I don't even know how far to go in depth with that because it's so long that I don't want to like, get carried away.
It's okay. It's okay. Unbelievable. You go as in depth as you want. I mean,
It's such a long story, but I guess I could just say, um, shoot, when I ended up getting away, I
Yeah.
guess talk about that.
Yeah.
That
How long did this go on for? Like, how long were you trapped there?
5.5 months.
5.5 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like I did a tour in Afghanistan and I did a 7 month tour, so like that felt long to me, but I can't imagine going through what you went through for 5 months.
Yeah. I just thought I was gonna die. I guess every time a new day came up, I was almost just like, let me die, let's just get it over with, because I'd get threatened all the time to take me out on a highway and shoot her if she doesn't listen to you, blah, blah, blah.
Would they
No
keep?
one will know.
Did they keep you in a room, or would they put you out on the street? Like,
I was always in that room until nighttime. So, like, I had a TV. I remember seeing Oprah Winfrey, the Oprah show, and I hated her because she was, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad or anything, but I
yeah,
remember being mad at her because she was chubby.
yeah.
And I was like, she gets to eat, and because I was so hungry. And oh God, I'd be lucky if they brought in something for me to eat once a day. Like, I remember waiting 5 days to even eat something, and when they gave me it, it was like
5 days.
ramen noodles that weren't even cooked.
Yeah.
And
Just
there was
enough to keep you
cockroaches.
alive.
Huh?
Just enough to keep you alive.
Yeah, and I'm terrified of bugs, and they had cockroaches, spiders in the room. I was just, like, it was nasty. And bars were on the window, and I was on the second floor, and the window's really small. There's no way I could even get out. And then you don't even know if you want to get out because you hear sirens and yelling and shooting. So
You probably hardly had the strength anyway. I mean,
right.
for the lack of nutrition.
And then if someone else would probably get me anyway, like if I was out,
What got you through those days?
I don't know. I memorized. They had a phone book in the room, and they left like an old phone bill in there.
Yeah.
And I memorized that address because that was the house I was at over and over and over in case I ever got out.
Yeah.
And was trying to remember the two people's names that were on the phone bill. And I don't know how I made it really, because I kind of wanted to die.
Yeah.
But, like after a while, I just wanted to be over with.
Heather, Chris has asked from did your parents look for you? Where did your parents think you were?
Oh God, when I ended up coming home, my mom said, back then you had like answering machines, and we just had one phone, and she said a lot of like people were calling that she didn't know who they were.
Right.
And then they were telling her I ran away, I didn't want to be home anymore. Told her I was in a totally different city. And the only thing I can think of is when I was taken, they had my purse, and maybe that they were calling misleading calls home to put them off track, because none of my friends would have did that. So
Heather, don't give your address, but what state? May I ask what state?
Yeah, I lived in Iowa, and I was taken to Wisconsin.
Wow. Iowa.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's like if I seen this in a trailer in a movie, I would want to go see this movie. And I would bring a box of tissues. My God, I can't imagine. So how did you escape? May I ask that?
Well, we were getting ready to go to Chicago because that's where the head guy was. And I didn't know this at the time.
They were moving you to Chicago.
Yeah, so we went to a suburb of Milwaukee called Greenfield.
Okay.
And they wanted me, two females, the one that ended up taking me there, and then the woman that lived in the house along with her husband.
Yeah.
The two females took me to a Kmart and wanted me to steal a bunch of stuff, like to get ready for this trip, like baby clothes and all this stuff. Because we had 5 kids in that house, too, on the bottom floor.
5 kids in the house, too.
They were doing it with a family. So that's what's just crazy. And I guess you hear about kidnapping stories.
Right.
And they generally do have a whole normal life going on while someone's kidnapped in the house. Like, I don't know if you've ever read stories or
Yeah.
watched the movies. Like
Yes.
the girl that was kept in the backyard for
Yes.
16 years, or people never know. But,
I've seen these kind of movies on TV. This is like your life.
really weird. Yeah. Um, well, what they did, this is where they tripped up, was they gave me a cart and they were showing me what they wanted me to steal. And then they said, we're going to be outside in the car right in front of the door. Run out with it. We're throwing it in and we're going to leave.
They sent you in to steal stuff,
Because they
okay?
didn't want to get caught stealing, you know,
Right,
if I
yeah.
did get caught.
Right.
So right away, my mouth is getting dry and I'm shaking because I'm like, oh my God, they're leaving me. I've never been,
Left alone.
never, except in that locked room, but never, ever out in public alone. And when they took me to all these houses and stuff while I was there, like to make money, it was right away we went in the house. She told the people to disconnect the phone. You know, like I was under high surveillance. So I'd never had this freedom. And I remember having this racing fear, and I was looking around because I thought it was a setup, like maybe they were testing me.
Really?
You know, because it just seemed unreal.
Yeah, of
Like,
course. I
who would
mean,
leave
5
me alone?
months.
So I seen them go out the door. I waited a minute. I didn't see them come back in. So you know, the circled clothes racks.
Yeah.
I got in the middle and hopped inside of clothes rack to clothes rack to clothes rack
Just
because I
hiding
didn't
away.
want them because I didn't want them to see me go find security, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm walking in between each rack. People are looking at me all crazy, like, and I looked so malnourished. I looked probably dirty, you know, and they're like, "Who the hell is this?"
Yeah.
And I'm jumping rack to rack, and I get back to the gun area, the hunting stuff, and I see this lady, and I knew I had to say something to really get her attention because I did not want to sit there and chat out in the open. I went up to her and I says, I've been kidnapped. I need security and for you to call the cops right now before they kill me. And she's like, she didn't know English very well. She was like Asian, and I just heard her, blah, 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 blah. She was just freaking out. But she at
So
least,
you're escaping, and the one person you run into doesn't know any English.
not very much, but she heard kill.
Right.
And I know she got it was a bad situation. So she grabbed me by my wrist. And apparently we were right by the security thing where you go up the stairs and you look out the security glass.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So she took me out into the room and I stayed there. And
How old were you
right
when this happened? When this was going on? Like,
what?
How old were you when you were escaping like this?
At the time,
Was it 16? I think you said.
16.
I just want to remind people, yeah, 16.
Because it was before my birthday was in September, so I hadn't turned 17 yet. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 16 years old. I'm unbelievable. 16 years old.
Oh, hold on. Someone's gonna sneak in.
Yeah, no problem.
Right.
No problem.
Hold on a minute, okay?
But yeah, unbelievable. 16 years old and having all this. So they found.
Yeah.
So I guess you found security, and they got the cops involved.
Yeah, they called the cops, and they came really fast because it wasn't Milwaukee; it was Greenfield. So they tend to respond faster than a big city.
That's good. That's good.
And they came, and I just had to give my story over and over and over and over to a million people. And the two girls were still outside in the car, so they were able to arrest them right away.
Okay, so they got the car. Okay, good. That was my next question. Yeah.
And then I remembered the address because I had it in my memory. And so they sent the cops over there, cleared the house out. They got all the three other kids, you know, that I came with. And then the guy was left in the house and the little kids were in there. And they just cleared it out. And then I got transferred to the Milwaukee Police Department. That wasn't fun.
Man, if that's not a Hollywood movie, So 16 years old. So did you go back home?
I did. I had to be held in the children's detention unit for a while because it was an argument between me and my friend of whose mother was going to pick us up. It's a 6-hour drive from where I was at. And my friend's mom ended up picking us up.
Your friend's mom, okay.
Me and my friend, though, I hated her. Like, everybody, when they used to take me out at night, my friends never seen that. They never seen me get taken out or forced to be, like one of the kidnappers would bathe me.
Okay.
And all this stuff. Like, they never seen that because they were in a different area of the house.
Right,
They
yeah.
thought I was lying because I wanted to get home. So when I told somebody under the door what was happening to me, they told on me and told one of my kidnappers, that I was saying this. And they're like, beat me up that night because of it.
Holy moly.
I didn't like those 3 kids anymore. So there was so much hate, that I got treated like that, and they were fine. And she was a girl, but they picked me, and I was just mad that they were mad at me because I told, and like I got out of there. Like, why would you be mad?
Yeah, you should be thanking you.
But they were like having a good time there because nothing was happening to them, so they don't understand.
Right, yeah.
So, I came back home, and it was a very dark time because no one wanted to talk to me about it because it was so weird. Nobody could understand it. She put me in like a group therapy thing, and I'm there in a group. I think I was 17 at the time, and there's people there grieving, for a variety of reasons. And here they come around to me, and I've got this long story, and they actually looked at me like I was a liar. And and I'd come home. I only went to 2 sessions. I'd come home, and I would just throw up. I was so sick. And I just told her, I don't ever want to go to no therapy again because it makes me worse.
Well, it's hard to find a group that can relate to what you went through. Hard to find a person to relate to what you went through, let alone a group of people.
Right.
Heather, Chris just asked, what happened with the other kids that were there? I mean, we understand why you were kidnapped, but why would they kidnap the other kids if the other kids were having a good time? Did you ever find out why?
What was that?
And we understand. Sorry, there's been a few questions come in.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. Yep. There's been a few questions come in. Do you know why they wanted
I can't see you.
You can't see me? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still here.
No, but I can hear you.
I'm still here. I promise you, I'm still here. Chris would like to know what happened with the other kids. I mean, did you ever find out why they even kidnapped the other kids that were in this house? We understand why they kidnapped you, but why would they kidnap these other ones if they're just showing the kids a good time?
I don't know. Like, when we got back home too, the kids went on to live a life. They went right back. This girl Crystal and I ended up fighting her like a year later. I seen her at a gas station, and
you ended up fighting her at a gas station.
In the gas station.
Yeah.
Huh?
I know. I just said you ended up fighting this woman at a gas station. Yeah, I totally respect that. I can totally relate to that. With my anger, but I mean, the anger that's built up through 5 months of what you went through. Yeah, I can totally understand, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners can understand and relate to snapping.
Mm-hmm.
But
and then
sorry, keep going.
Oh, and then I just, I got back home. I had to do a couple court dates in Milwaukee, like every time that 3 people were always, going to court because there's 2 guys and a female. And they all ended up pleading guilty later on, but it just was a long process because you'd have to go to like a pre-trial and all this, and they got a plea bargain. And in Wisconsin at the time, I don't know if it's changed, if you were 16 or, okay, how is it? If you were 16 or older,
Yep.
it's sexual assault. If I had been a year younger, 15 or under, it would be rape.
That's
so whatever.
You still can't see me?
In kidnap, huh?
You still can't see me?
Oh no, I can see you now.
You can? Okay. I got a little delay when you talk.
So, they only got second-degree sexual assaults and kidnapping charges, which is funny because in Iowa, kidnapping is life.
Right.
But since they didn't actually hold me against my will till Wisconsin's only a 25-year sentence. So then they got soliciting
Well, whose
a minor.
freaking side is the law on here, or the government, or not government, but the law on? I guess I was right the first time. I mean, it's really working in their favor. I'm sorry. I'm just blown away by this. Like,
Yeah. So when all that was over with, I just was in a dark place. I ended up getting back with that boyfriend that was abusive, and and mind you, like this, the whole time I was with him, I had 8 or 9 pregnancy losses that I dealt with.
wow.
In that time. And it wasn't due to the abuse. I ended up finding later why I have like a blood clotting disorder, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't find that out till way down the road, but I married him, and then I divorced him later, like a couple years later. So this puts me at 19. And I meet another guy. He's actually really nice, but he's 2 years younger than me.
Okay.
I get pregnant by him.
Pregnant. Okay.
And I am dancing.
Pregnant. You're pregnant by a nice guy. That's the best I've heard so far tonight.
Yeah, it's just I was not a good person. So, like.
So while you're going out with this nice guy, was there signs of PTSD that during this?
Yeah, I just didn't know it.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. You know, and I was living a bad life, and I was dancing for money, and I had 2 guys that used to always bother me and keep propositioning me all the time. And I hated that because obviously it made me think of the whole past.
Right.
So I came home one day and told my boyfriend, and I was like, I want them beat up. I want these guys beat up. You know, they're married. They shouldn't be doing this, blah, blah, blah. So we set up, like I would go on a date with them, but I met them in a location. They got robbed and beat up. And it wasn't even 3 months later. And I'm still pregnant, by the way. But like I said in my head, I thought I was going to lose the pregnancy because I had lost so many.
Right.
So I wasn't thinking responsibly. And I get arrested when I was 6 months pregnant, and I didn't snitch on my boyfriend, which I wish I would have later, but I didn't. And I go down for 2 25-year sentences, and I gave birth in prison like 3.5 months later. So I'm just really happy camper, and
you gave birth in prison.
Yeah, my first actual finally get to have a baby, and then I gave birth in prison, and I was so mad at myself. But, and I'm not condoning it in any way, but I really mentally didn't think I was going to have the baby because, hell, so I was very detached in all my pregnancies because I just thought I would lose it.
Listen, I'm not going to say I know what a pregnant woman goes through, but I'm married, and I've watched my wife go through her pregnancy, and my God, I have all the respect in the world for a woman who's pregnant, but to go through what a woman goes through pregnant in jail.
You're hungry.
Yeah, like my wife sent me out to stores to get treats or snacks or whatever. Like, I've What did you do? My God, you should be wearing a cape. You should be wearing a cape because you're an amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
So how long did you spend in jail?
7 years.
7 years.
Yes.
Well,
It was awful.
talk to us about. I don't know if you want to talk about your time in jail. How about we talk about the day you got out?
When I got out,
Yeah, how about that? Unless you want to talk about jail.
it's boring.
It's boring.
Yeah. I still have nightmares to this day.
Yeah. Is it everything you thought it was from TV?
Actually, they downplay it on TV a lot. And
Yeah.
when I was in there, I had to be very tough because I think my notion going in was if I don't go in here, like after I had my baby,
Yeah.
if I don't go in here kicking ass, I'm probably, I'm young and I might be taken advantage of. And I was at that point in my life, nobody else is fucking going to touch me.
Right. Yeah.
So I kind of went in there being really mean.
Yeah.
I was in the hole so many times.
Really, eh?
Oh, because I knew I wasn't going to get out anyway for a long time. But when I did get out, it was so weird out here. I got out in 2002.
Well, sounds like you didn't get it for good behavior.
Huh?
Sounds like you didn't get it for good behavior.
No, it's just they couldn't keep me any longer.
Oh, okay, that's good. But you're finally out. Well,
Yeah.
who came and picked you up?
My mom.
Your mom came and picked you up finally. Good.
A couple hours away, but she came and got me. And
How was that? How was the car ride home? How was the car ride home? That was hard to get out.
Eat.
You just wanted to eat. Yeah.
I
Where did we go to eat then?
Lucky Charm.
Where did we go?
Huh?
What? Where'd you go to eat? What was your first thing?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Good pick.
And I had her bring a box of Lucky Charms in the car.
Lucky Charms. Yeah, you needed some luck.
Yeah.
Should have ate the whole box though. That's right. I'm trying to be funny. But how was the car ride home? Finally get to see what about the baby? Who did the baby stay with?
They sent me to like a work release when I got out of prison.
Yeah.
So, it was great. I mean, I still had freedom, but I was like more structured. And it was to ease me back into the world. And I had my baby, my son, who is now 6 or 7. So when he was with his, my boyfriend at the time, which is his dad, I had him stay with his grandparents. So that's my baby's great-grandparents.
Right.
And I didn't choose my mom, which I so regret, because they were retired and she was at home and my mom worked full time, and I didn't want my kid left with all these babysitters because I've seen a lot of babysitters in prison.
Yeah.
And I don't trust them. So I had him stay with them, and then what they ended up doing was taking him from me. And I got to see him the first 6 months, like on solo visits. Me and him would go out and have fun, and it was wonderful. And I had all these high, expectations, because they said if you get a good apartment on the good side of town and make it a 2-bedroom, and we'll let him start staying with you on the weekends, and we'll just kind of wean him in. And I was like, that's perfect. I'm not trying to rush anything.
Right.
And they ended up never letting me see him again. And I only seen him, I swear to you, on one hand from 2003 to now. They just stopped letting me see him. And so I took her to court. I saved up money. It took me 5 years. And I got a lawyer. And I took her to court and served her papers on Mother's Day because I figured I need to make a statement here. Took her to court and I lost.
Man.
Ugh. I lost because my lawyer and me at the time were on a payment arrangement thing where I paid so much every month, and her lawyer they're rich, and they were dragging out the court thing to make it last forever.
Right.
and I was late on one payment, and he dropped me as a client. So on the final day, I had no rep. But I was still hopeful, and I was like, I'll talk to this judge. I will go up and be my own lawyer, you know. I made it this far. And he just said because of my criminal history, it wasn't in the best interest of him to be with me.
Right, blah, 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 yeah. Oh, my God.
And I said, they could be supervised visits. I don't care. I'm no threat to him at all.
Yeah, you just want to see your kid.
So that's been a lot of anger. And he's 20 now. So.
He is 20 years old now.
Yeah. And I remember I seen him. I found out where he worked. And when he gets really nervous, he stutters.
Right.
And I handed him a paper with my email, address, phone number, and all that.
Yep.
But I've never heard from him. I've been kind of waiting for him to get in contact with me. I hope he does before I die.
Yeah.
But I think he's been brainwashed, you know. But
yeah.
So, but then I had gotten married again in 2003 to another loser who also abusive, and divorced him in 2008. I was single for a while. I just needed a break. Bought a house and was doing really good by myself. Just me and 3 dogs.
And you're a worker. You're a worker, girl.
And then I met this guy online in 2010. We just were friends for a couple years. And then we started dating and got married in 2012.
Oh, got the ring now, eh?
Yeah. And he's really nice.
Good.
We're great. I mean, everything's good over here. And I ended up having another child in 2013. I also had 2 more losses in between there.
Yep.
You know? But now I have a 3-year-old son.
You have a 3-year-old. What's his name?
So now it's calm.
Yeah.
And you would think when it's calm that everything's magically going to be great.
No.
But it's not, you know.
No.
I got so suicidal probably in March or in April of this year. I didn't tell anybody. It was just a secret because I didn't want my kid taken from me. I had this big fear of that, you know. So I went right away when I just noticed it was getting worse and worse. And I went to the psychiatric place we have here in town and got in pretty fast. And you say that suicide word, you get in really fast. And they diagnosed me with CPTSD. I started doing EMDR therapy, and we don't do it every time I go there. Because she said that's too intense. So we do it like once a month.
Okay.
And then I'm on medication because here, I hear a lot of the talking group about marijuana, but it's so not legal here. So I ain't getting arrested.
Yeah, in Canada we have marijuana for trauma. We have a member, Daryl, who's he's signing up members all the time.
Yeah, like I bet that works great because I know it works great for cancer patients and stuff. But you know my run with getting arrested. I don't want to push my luck, so no. I don't do it.
No, I can understand that.
And so I'm on medication and doing the therapy, and I'm not suicidal anymore. I do have bouts of like depression that they sneak up on you like a thief. But I'm a lot better than what I was going through. So.
Are you seeing anybody regularly?
Oh yeah, I see the psychiatrist that sees me for therapy.
Yeah.
And then I see another psychiatrist for medication reasons. So they have 2 separate ones.
Does your husband know about PTSD?
Huh?
Does your husband understand PTSD?
Yeah. He doesn't like to talk about it. So, like, nobody ever likes to talk about it because I don't know if people think, A, you're either trying to get, like, oh, woo me attention. Yep. I'm not that kind of person, though. So, but all he says really is, like, he noticed that with the meds and everything that I'm much nicer.
Yeah.
So I'm much more easier to live with now. But we don't really talk about it.
That's too bad. I know for me, having my wife to talk to about it, because my wife, I opened up and I told my wife everything about my PTSD. My kids even understand my PTSD. I think that's what really keeps me going. Is my kids know how to do grounding techniques with me. My kids know how to do breathing exercises with me, and they know what usually sets me off, what triggers me, right? Like certain movies Dad can't watch and stuff like that, right? They understand why Dad cries at everything, and especially when the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing. Like, but yeah, I'm really sorry you don't have that. He doesn't understand like my wife
Well, like,
does.
it probably just makes him uncomfortable, and he's so busy. He works all the time. So we don't even get to talk much, but it's probably people feel so bad for you that they don't know the right things to say, maybe.
Yeah, I guess yeah. Because there are times when you don't know what's the right thing to say, especially if you
Right.
don't understand it. There's still a lot of people out there who don't understand PTSD. They don't understand much about it still, right? I mean, the only people who really understand it are the doctors, I guess, but kind of not. For me, the only people that really understand it are like our members, people who they don't have to have PTSD, but if they deal with it somehow, like have a spouse or a loved one with PTSD, or they have PTSD, that's when they really understand it, right?
Yeah, that's the only time I talk about it's in that group. Like, I don't do it on my main page or anything like that, but that group's the only place besides my therapist that I even would dare really talk about it, because if you bring it up just to a random, like one of your friends, mine anyway, they just are like, they don't know what to say, and like I feel like I put them in an awkward spot, so I don't really talk about it.
Yeah, I understand that. It's almost like if you see a friend with no eyebrows, you kind of don't know what to say. Did something happen?
Yeah.
Why don't you have any eyebrows? I guess. Heather, you tell an amazing story. I can't thank you enough for having a chat with me.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
and if you ever decide to write a book, I will be the first one to buy it. Unbelievable. Um, I'll post this chat onto our wall, but I want you to have a look at all the comments. I don't think we've ever gotten as many comments on a chat
Really?
as what we got tonight. But
Okay.
that just shows me that we need to have another chat soon. So let's do
Okay.
that. All right. We talked a lot about how you got the PTSD. Let's talk about how you're dealing with your PTSD, and we'll share some tips on how to deal with PTSD. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, Heather, and I'm proud to say that I know you. I'm proud to have you as a member of PTSD Buddies, and keep soldiering on is what I say, because you you're a tough broad, lady. I'm proud to know you.
Thank you.
Take care now. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
All right, guys, we're gonna shut it off there for the night, but you got to agree that Heather tells a very powerful story. We're going to post this to, as always, we're going to, Heather said it's okay. We're going to post this to our PTSD Buddies YouTube channel. So please tell all your friends to subscribe and share all the YouTube videos you can on from our channel, because the more people that subscribe, the more videos we can make. And if you want to join me on a PTSD Buddy Chat like this, just send me a private message on Facebook. All right, take care, guys. Cheers.